Good evening, everybody, and with those flash of lights at the end of our little intro video, it's time for another episode of All the Right Movies. Thanks, everybody, for showing up, and I'm just going to start tonight with apologies and a shit ton of excuses. Some things came up today, so I did everything late. I got the article up late. I even think I put it up this morning on YouTube and scheduled it on YouTube this morning instead of last night, and found myself in a position where it was like, okay, I don't have to cancel, but I'm definitely going to have to cram. So if there's ever a night I'm really looking for a little help out of the comments, it might be this one. We'll see how it goes. I still think I've got a pretty good layout here, and the movie we're doing tonight, if you didn't know that already, which you probably do, is The Replacements. And the second in Keanu Reeves' compendium of playing former Ohio State quarterbacks. It's probably, does any other school actually sell their fictional player jersey? Because Ohio State sells both the Shane Falco jerseys and the Johnny Utah jerseys, and I gotta admit, I'm a little bit jealous because if they had played at Nebraska instead of Ohio State, I'm not really a jersey guy. I'll tell you really why in a sec, but I'd probably have me a Utah and a Falco t-shirt. So screw you, Ohio State. Officially jealous on that one. And as far as the football jersey wearing, I don't know if any of you ever read the book Shit My Dad Says. It was a bestseller for a while. A guy that wrote for Maxim. He had a follow-up to it called I Suck at Girls, where he's using Dad's quotes, but also it's telling the story of how he got his girlfriend back, and I think they ended up getting married. But no, he would also write articles too, and that were just hilarious. And one of them was called something like "Your favorite NFL team doesn't give a shit about you," and he tells this anecdote to compare being an NFL football fan, to being a guy that hangs out at strip clubs and, thinks the stripper really likes him. And no, the stripper, much like the NFL team, is just trying to pull all the money they can out of it, and they will ditch your town in a heartbeat if they think they can make money somewhere else. I don't know if I guess strippers would do that too. But anyway, his father in that book, in the article, one of his quotes, because the kid wore like an Eric, was it it wasn't a B-Enemy jersey, it was a LaDainian Tomlinson jersey, and he asked his dad why he didn't wear. They were from San Diego, and so he asked his dad why he didn't wear a Chargers jersey, and his dad responded. Sorry, even today this one cracks me up. Dad's response to that was, "Son, there's only two people that should wear a football jersey with a grown man's name on the back. One is the man who plays football in that jersey, and the other is the woman who is currently fucking that man. And anybody else shouldn't be a jersey-wearing person." I'm not trying to say that's right, but I am definitely saying that's funny. Anyway, let's get going on The Replacements tonight. We're actually getting a sports movie. I talked about how some sports movies really got the crap release dates like January or February. After football season's over and it's freezing out and nobody really wants to go anywhere. When you start getting north. This one actually got a summer release, even if it was a bit late. It was released on August 11th in 2000. It finished 56th in the country, or 56 in all movies for money made that year, 44,737,000 and some change. Doesn't sound too bad. Well, estimates put the budget at 50 million. Now, I think it became popular enough over time that it became a DVD seller, showed up on cable. It was making the TNT. TBS rounds, so very, very rewatchable. So I have a feeling over time it probably made more than made its money back. But yeah, in the theater it lost money. Top five movies that year. The Grinch came in number one, made 252 million, and after what we did last week, this week Mission Impossible 1 I think was number 2 in the country. In 2000, Mission Impossible 2's number 1 in the country. Number 3 was Gladiator, the Oscar winner Russell Crowe. Number 4 is Perfect Storm. And number 5 was the pretty damn hilarious Meet the Parents, Ben Stiller and Robert De Niro. And just a note, it was actually kind of a little bit of a banging movie because you don't get a lot of sports movies coming out in the same year often, but you also had Remember the Titans came out that year. It finished 14th in money, headed up by Denzel, and then Any Given Sunday was out, and it was 59th, just slightly behind The Replacement. So not a lot of success in the theater, but it stood out over time. It's hokey, it's goofy, it's not too grounded in reality, but it's fun. And who doesn't like Keanu Reeves? You got Gene Hackman in there. You've got the owner talking about what monkeys should do to a football, which of course we'll get to. And it gave, if we give it a stretch on one of these, it gives Keanu his 4 entries, so he's got a sports movie Mount Rushmore of The Replacements, Hardball, Youngblood. If you forget in Youngblood, with Keanu, we love him to death, but let's face it, sometimes the unintentional Keanu comedy it's just up there. He's one of the all-time in unintentional comedy, until John Wick rolled around. I don't think anybody's going to be making fun of John Wick. But in Youngblood, he was the goalie on Rob Lowe and Patrick Swayze's team, and he made it worse by just having, I guess they wanted him to be the Quebec, the French-Canadian guy. So he's out there just butchering a ridiculous French accent in Youngblood. So it's wonderful. And then let's face it, you got surfing. He played, and he won a Rose Bowl in his past. He was a college quarterback, so we're calling Point Break a sports movie. Who knows? Maybe we'll even squeeze it on all the right movies at some point. But there's your Keanu Rushmore. Replacements, Point Break, Hardball, Youngblood. Congratulations. It's not Kevin Costner level. He might be the all-time sports Mount Rushmore actor, but Keanu, you've got one. We love you. And then let's go to Roger Ebert. 2 stars. Probably not I think that's probably a fair review. If you're coming in and you're not a complete sports psychopath like myself, it's probably it wasn't bad. There's some funny parts, whereas I'm finding humor throughout this movie and just love it to death. But yeah, 2 stars out of Ebert. Good quote here from Roger. It's like a standard sports movie, but with every point made 2 or 3 times as if we'd never seen a sports movie before. And Raj, he's a genius. We don't always agree with his reviews, but then you read like a biting line like that, and it's like, yeah, that's pretty hard to argue with. Rotten Tomatoes, the critics, weren't like Roger, weren't too kind to it. Got a 41% positive reviews from critics. That made of the green splatty tomato or whatever it is that's supposed to be. I don't see the green as the rotten one. I mean, green's like the not ripe one, but whatever. They needed contrasting colors. So let's not pick on Rotten Tomatoes tonight. For the love of God, they're doing God's work. So anyway, we've got the plot, and I did it last year. I forgot to do it last week, but this one definitely qualifies. This plot is 100% ludicrous. It's as ludicrous as it gets. It was almost like it was written by an NFL owner, because here's the deal: the greedy NFL players are going on strike, and these plucky replacement players, they're sure not called scabs except by the NFL players, in this movie, but they're plucky, and by God, the fans get behind them. And they support them, and what a wonderful and heartwarming deal watching a city get behind its replacement players. The truth, not so much. And then you've got the NFL players out there egging their buses, tipping Shane Falco's beat up truck over all the time on it, like several times on its side. And I just keep thinking that's not really what. Because, the press was still around for that stuff in 1987. I think they based it loosely on the 87 strike when I was in school. And we actually had a former Husker who we'd found out later, Mike Knox, who was a Nebraska linebacker, and he apparently took the same Portuguese course I did like a year or 2 before I took it. And he asked if he could be let out of the course at no penalty because he got a chance to be a replacement player and actually I can't remember the team because this just occurred to me now. Like I said, not real good with the homework this week. Apologies once again. But yeah, Mike Knox went and played replacement ball and, and got out of school to do it. This is, after he completed his eligibility. And I actually looked up because I wanted to know some of this. So, I'd like to dive into the trivia as we go along here. And let's see, they based it, loosely in the 87 strike. Now, you didn't have really players vandalizing vehicles and egging buses because that would be that'd be a terrible public look. But I guess they did show up. There was interaction between the scabs and the striking players where they would show up, I guess, chain and make like human chains to block the buses from getting in, and they would bring their wives, girlfriends, etc., and stand there trying to block them. I didn't really see. I'm assuming it never really came to blows. That they were just making a point, and eventually police, come on guys, let them in. Well, anyway, it's they were the Washington Sentinels in this show, and they loosely based it on the Redskins, and I guess as far as the fans, I'll start that. I tried to do a little research into, what the fan interaction was about the Scabs, and it was like, no, not well attended. No, they didn't get behind him. In Philadelphia, they'd show up to throw shit at him, I guess, because they wanted their players back. Yeah, everybody wanted their NFL teams back. They weren't, as much as they were trying to play like the 70s free agent greedy player thing, it didn't really catch on with the fans. The fans were like, I don't give a shit, I want my players. So yeah, not a lot of fan support there. The Redskins with one thing they did is they came back, the players union, I don't know, they tried to say we don't want the games to count, and the NFL kind of stuck with no, the games are going to count, because they wanted to let them know if you're going to do this scab stuff, then you're gonna roll with it, and these games are gonna count. And if it costs you the playoffs because you had a lousy scab team, so be it. Anyway, the Redskins went 3-0 and ended up, getting into the playoffs and then winning the Super Bowl, and so that was interesting. And it was still like that. Now there was definitely, the players didn't appreciate it. They did not give the replacement players their rings. So, but supposedly anybody that plays at all when a team wins a Super Bowl gets a ring, but they wouldn't give them their rings. And even though they went 3-0 and probably helped get them in. So I thought that was interesting. Now I read it looked like it was a comment posted in the same year, so I don't know if it happened. But in 2018, supposedly they'd made the decision to retroactively try to find these guys and give them their rings. So if they did, hey, if the games are going to count, I say give them their rings. I'm not really on the side of the striking players. I understand it. Hey, it's a chance to play. And I don't really think it's going to have it's one of those things I think that never really had too much of an effect, because they're trying to go, hey, we can play on without you, and know what you're throwing out there is just terrible and not in any way comparable to an NFL ball. So I don't think it really affected negotiations too much. It's not like they were cleaning up and breaking even with these guys. But anyway, let's see. What other? I'm trying to get all the actual replacement trivia I could find. Let's see. Okay. Keanu Reeves actually gained 23 pounds for this role. And apparently, and I don't know, this could be complete bullshit. It could be the epitome of half-assed internet research, as the Rewatchables podcast calls that. But supposedly, like, they filmed in Baltimore, and apparently he looks so good at quarterback. So I don't know if he played in high school. I didn't get that deep into it. I'm sorry. But supposedly he looked so good playing quarterback that the Ravens offered him a tryout. And, if that's true, good for Keanu. Obviously, that wasn't going to happen. The guy I thought of when I watched him play, and I don't know if all of you or any of you are old enough to remember this, but he reminded me of Scott Mitchell of the Detroit Lions, because he was a lefty, had some mobility, and I always thought Scott Mitchell was like a decent quarterback. But yeah, so I don't know. That's just how he looked good enough to be offered a tryout. And if it's not true, bully on Keanu Reeves' agent because that's a great story to have floating around if it never happened, and then just shrug when people ask you and just keep that myth going because I think that's great. Now, the one strike that I remember, because I was still pretty involved in hockey when this happened, and I used to be like the director of women's hockey for Nebraska, Iowa, Kansas, which was mostly Omaha, and then Iowa started growing. Kansas City had a few teams, but not widespread. But I got to go to these USA hockey meetings, so I actually got to meet some of these players, former players on the national team. Well, I want to say it was like the late 2010s when the USA women were getting a little tired of getting the second-class citizen treatment compared to the men. And now it's one thing when they're bringing in the NHL players to play in the Olympics in hockey. Okay, these guys are going to be staying in the finest hotels, finest rooms, all that sort of thing. And then the women probably not as nice accommodations. Well, by the time this rolls around, the women, they're basically the women's team year round. They are training constantly. They are playing Canada a lot. That's their one true competition in hockey. But they are going and they're playing and they're working out year round, and they're not getting paid very much. And then when they're going to the World Championships or the Olympics, they found that the men, and at this point, it's the men they can grab from like the minor leagues or maybe colleges that'll let them loose or whatever, or guys playing overseas who aren't good enough for the NHL. That's who's playing on your Olympic teams at this point, and they're still getting the first-class treatment, and the women are having to bunk up together in like lower-end hotels and stuff like that, and they're not getting paid as much, and they at that point have had it, and they go to strike for, I think it was before the World Championships, like 2017. I'd have to look that up, but they strike, and they strike successfully because, and there's no better way to put this after going to these USA hockey meetings for several years. I would go to these, and I started going to those when I was in my 40s, 50s, and I'm feeling like I'm 22 in these rooms. It was just run by old ass men who have been serving in these positions forever. They're starting to let some of the women who have played actually on some of these boards, committees, but we'd go to these meetings for the Central District, and you'd basically fly into Chicago on a Friday night. The meeting would be from like 8 or 9 in the morning in the basement of this, like a Chicago Italian restaurant, till about 1 or 2 in the afternoon, and then everybody's off to O'Hare to fly back or drive, or if they're closer, drive back to wherever they're from. You're either on a plane or in a car. And there's guys rolling in here with oxygen tanks and the walkers, not to anybody with disabilities. That's not where I'm going. I'm just going. It started to feel like you had to be 75, 80 years old to be running anything. So this is who the U.S. women are taking on. And so they're like, okay, well, then we're going to boycott the World Championships. And so they're like, fine, we'll go grab the girls off the U19 national team or something like that, the U20 national team. No, they're on board too. Okay, fine. Well, they're actually going to drop down and see if they can get like the top 16-year-olds they can find. No, and no one would do it. And they realized that, this is like one of their, this is their highest profile event of the year. They're going to be without a team, and they can't even find a younger, worse team to go out there. So these girls won big. I think they ended up getting like $100,000 salaries, the nicer hotels. And it wasn't, and here's why it's not, say, comparable to the WNBA and the NBA, when they're like, oh, it's not fair that, AJ Wilson's salary is $80,000 a year and some backup on the Celtics makes $10 million a year. And it's like, well, but this is not a case of nobody watches one product and watches the other like crazy, and that product subsidizes the other product. No, this is one where like the women, in their own right, are more famous than the men's teams that get thrown together and show up for Olympics and World Championships. These guys have been together, they're known, so they actually outdraw viewers, outdraw fans even at these games, and so they're deserving of the equal treatment. And so I guess that's the point I was trying to make there and went on far too long about. Thank you very much, all of you, for your patience. So let's get into it. let's start talking about the best scenes. I'd say let's get some comments. And yes, here we go. 70s Child. Welcome, 70s Child. I'm well old enough to remember Mitchell. Yeah, I let me know if you kind of see the comparison there. But yeah, I don't know why, but I thought of Scott Mitchell. And then I remember listening to somebody else's pod a few years ago about it, and they were talking to Scott Mitchell. I was like, yes, Scott Mitchell. Not insults. Scott Mitchell, I always thought he was a pretty decent quarterback. I think he was there with Barry Sanders and that team, those teams. Anyway, let's see. Let's go into the scenes. Rush through these a little bit because I was trying to do my recap of that movie, take the notes, and so there's going to be some holes here, but I think I've got the best ones. And we go down later and go through where I rank several different categories of the movie from 1 to 5, from Mike Riley to Tom Osborne as far as how good it was. If there's one thing going on in this movie, which is a very funny movie, but there's some unintentional comedy where I think they're trying to be serious and you just have to laugh. And the first thing is right out of the gate, here comes the intro, and Shane Falco, let's see, he melted down in a Sugar Bowl, the 1996 Sugar Bowl. Fun fact about that, the reason it was actually intentional they used the 1996 Sugar Bowl because there was no 1996 Sugar Bowl. That, for whatever reason that year, that season, the 95 season, they didn't play it on January 1st or later in 96. They actually played it on Christmas Eve. So it was there were two 1995 Sugar Bowls and no 1996 Sugar Bowl. So that way people can't go back and go, well, here's what really happened in that game. And Shane Falco's not a part of it. Piss off. So anyway, belts down in the 1996 Sugar Bowl, whereas in, I think, the Rose Bowl, he got his knee folded back. In this one, I think he just got the crap knocked out of him through 6 or 7 interceptions. It was horrible. And life has taken him on a road where he scrapes barnacles off boats or whatever, cleans boats. I was just thinking barnacle scraping, gunk scraping. So he's rolling around underwater, and he finds maybe he was cleaning his boat and just threw it overboard. But here's this gold football, like Shane Falco, All-American, with his name inscribed on it, and he grabs it and he starts, I think, just running a drive on the ocean floor. Ends up just dropping it back on the ocean floor, and it's just hysterical because at this point, it's not even funny. Like, it's like, what's this maniac doing? And then I realized he doesn't even have an oxygen mask. I saw bubbles, but then no, there's no tank on his back. I didn't see any hose or mouthpiece. If I missed it, feel free to let me know. But it's just you're right out of the gate. I'm going, what in the hell am I watching? Why is this maniac like playing catch with himself on the ocean floor, doing a yard like I did when I was a kid? If you've got that urge to do that again, but right out of the gate, that's nuts. But you find out that the players are going to go on strike. The bad guy in it, wonderfully played by Brett Cullen, is the Sentinels quarterback, Eddie Martell. I don't see how a team would follow this guy anywhere because he is just the biggest dick on the planet, and not in a funny big dick way like Shooter McGavin, who doesn't have to inspire a team. But Eddie Martell, there's no way he's just nice to his team and a jerk to everybody else on earth, or maybe he does possess that ability, but he just strikes me as the type of guy that a guy drops a ball, he's not even waiting for the huddle. You're going to see him on the field with the announcers going, wow, you shouldn't be yelling at your teammate in front of the world like this. There's 7 million people watching this meltdown and stuff like that. So anyway, but they do a weird thing. He scrambles on this early play, takes a slide, and then the crowd starts booing him. Madden and Summerall start giving it to him in the booth, and I'm like, well, this guy's not a running quarterback, and if he's as good as you're making him out to be, yes, you slide. You don't run downfield and try to run over linebackers. I mean, people talk about, but back in whatever they did this. I'm like, yeah, and they got hurt and then had to go to another, like their backup quarterbacks, and coaches finally went, well, I don't need my quarterback getting slaughtered. They're going to get hit enough, just the regular course of being a quarterback. We got Fred Sacco into some early jokes. Might as well jump right in. Shane Falco, also from Iowa State, like Johnny fucking Utah. Yeah, you're late, Fred. We already talked about that. Keanu Reeves, the only guy who has two fictional jerseys on sale, two fictional player jerseys on sale at the same university. And then Fred said, because remember, every week is I Hate Iowa week. The original Screep had him scraping barnacles off Iowa cheerleaders. Yeah, I'm not going to say what I was about to say, but anyway, let's see. Yeah, he did the original Dylan slide. Now, why are we picking on Dylan already? Don't you want Dylan sliding? I want Dylan, and I think Dylan actually got some sneaky gains. I remember Ohio State going, "Hey, why'd this guy just run for 40 yards?" I think he led us in rushing that game, basically on that run. But yeah, I want Dylan sliding every chance he gets. Although about 230 or whatever he is, it might not hurt to maybe put the left shoulder into somebody. But anyhow, I digress, as I always do. So anyway, we get the strike announced, and then strange thing, they have this guy, their player rep up there, and I'm telling my guys to walk. It's all the news shots to start the movie. That is one of my favorite actors, Keith David. If you know Keith David, he's been in a lot of stuff. He can play everything from a brawler to a general. What I like to say he's best known for is I believe he's still, along with Rowdy Roddy Piper and They Live, together hold the record for longest on-screen fight, is directed by John Carpenter, one of America's greatest directors. And yeah, just love seeing Keith David in there wherever. Rowdy Roddy once, when he was doing his Monster Vision guest job with Joe Bob Briggs on TNT, he was talking about filming that scene and others and having to fight with him. And he goes, Keith David, I guess, said, "Hey, should I, pull the punches a little and all that?" And Roddy's like, "Well, there's no way in hell doing what I do that I can say that to this guy who I guess was did dancing and Broadway and all this stuff before he went fully into acting." And he goes, "And this guy's just beating the crap out of me." It said Keith David was just pounding the shit out of him, and he just had to take it because he just couldn't let himself admit an actor was kicking his ass. But Keith David, great guy. He played I think he said, like, these guys don't look smart enough to shoot a potato masher in Armageddon. He's in everything. He's one of my guys, so I had to give him a call out there. So we move on from there, and Gene Hackman is hired to be the coach of the Sentinels by Jack Warden. And kind of wild, here we are in the replacements, and you've got scenes with an Oscar winner and an Oscar nominee, and Hackman the winner, and Warden, I think you got nominated a couple of times. So there they are. Good Oscar. Another good quote I found from Roger Ebert. Because you got Keanu and Hackman, and his quote was, "Gene Hackman and Keanu Reeves star, and this is not a distinguished entry in their filmographies." Roger just throwing body blows throughout the 2-star review. But anyway, then you introduce the team, and let's go down it. They kind of montaged about 5 of them in, and then kept going when they showed up. So here's the team as I wrote them down, because I didn't want to try and remember all their names. So you got Daniel Bateman. That's John Favro. He's the psychotic SWAT guy who probably ought to be in jail and not in a uniform, but I guess we can say that about a lot of them. And then you got Clifford Franklin, who's a store clerk who's super fast, but they let you know right away that he couldn't catch a cold. And then you've got my favorite. These are my favorite guys. You got the twins. I guess they're not the twins. They're the brothers, Andre and Jamal Jackson, who are the bodyguards who just run around carrying guns. And then you've got Nigel Gruff, the soccer striker, who's also a gambling addict and in a lot of trouble. I just called this guy number 34 running back. And funny thing about him doing 34 is a nice little subtle thing they threw in. And there wasn't a lot of subtlety in the replacements, but on one of his runs, they show him like doing hold the ball with one hand and that little stutter and cut move Walter Payton did. And Walter Payton wore 34, and I guess they did that as kind of a little nod to sweetness. So good for you, replacements. We all love sweetness. Then you have Shane Falco, and then you have Wilkinson, who's the con, and who's on the work release. 2 pieces of trivia about the Wilkinson character. Number 1, where is he? the Redskins actually had a work release guy. He was their quarterback for a game named Tony Robinson. He was on work release. They're probably filming it in 1999. Came out, played one game, went back to prison, wasn't released until 2012, and got a 13-7 win on Monday Night Football. So they actually had that. The Redskins actually had a work release guy, and then Archie Harris, who played one of the brothers, actually played for the Broncos, an actual replacement player for the '87 Broncos, who lost to the Redskins, I believe, in that Super Bowl. And then let's see, here's the one that's not like the real humorous thing, but the guy that played Wilkinson, Michael Jace, the convict. Michael Jace murdered his wife. Got a 40-year prison sentence for second-degree murder. So Wilkinson, yeah, that's taking the method acting a little too far, my man. But wow on that one. Okay, so after Wilkinson, I just called the one guy religious guy. I think, he ended up like making a big run in one of the games, maybe a couple of them, and he's the one who walked off the bus like holding the Bible up, so hopefully they wouldn't egg him. And then we had the sumo wrestler and the deaf tight end. And so there you go. There's your goofy roster. Let's see. That was, I just kind of called that all the second scene, because then it turns into the practice. Tell you what, let's check some comments and then we'll keep going. Let's see who else is rolling in here. Saw Tiger Shark Diver made it in. Good to see you, TSD. Fred says he's beating the Christmas rush on giving Dylan shit. Oh God, you're going to be sentenced to 3 podcasts with Minnie if you keep that up, and just you won't want that. Trust me. Pit Snipe is in here with the Kermit 2-hand wave, which might be the wave of the night. Let's see. Yes, Fred Sacco remembers Rowdy Roddy and Keith David going at it. Best movie fight ever. It really was. I mean, they are beating the shit out of each other. They're throwing each other on cars. I think Rowdy Roddy like suplexed him on the cement. I want to hope there was like a cement, painted mattress down in a little pit there or something. And never knew his name till now. Keith David, is that who we're talking about? If so, you know me, I'm here to help. And yep, Fred says, okay, it's Pitt, TSD, and 70s Child. Now it's a party. Damn right. Okay, everybody's getting into the mood. So while we do that, it's time for my first cottonmouth pull a propel as I power my way through a semi-unprepared evening. Oh, that's so good. So good. Let's see. Oh, Pit Snipe. Okay, quick. No, I'll come to this at a break. Pit Snipe, I've got something for you. When we finish the scenes, and I only got about 5 of them tonight. When we finish those, if I don't go right to it, hit me in the comments. Andy, you had something to tell me. So anyway, let's see. Pit Snipe says he's been thinking about Fred Sacco's web series idea. Could maybe AI the crap out of it. So you guys figure that out. Pit Snipe's in with a. Oh wait, first we got Bone Lud corn fed with a hey Pit. Who doesn't love Pit? And Pitt says, go big Bone. Fred Sacco also says hi, and Bone says hi back. 70s Child says, let's see, I've never seen this movie. I need to, but don't watch a lot of sports movies, actually, except the Rocky films. Well, keep coming in here, and we will try to inspire you to start watching more sports movies. It's and believe me, I think just about all the Rocky films will make it at some point. They're all on my top 50 list that I've gotten stuck at 38 and need to get going again. And no Rocky 5. I take it back. Rocky 5 never happened, and even Stallone treats it like it never happened in the series. And all 3 of the Creed movies definitely fit the bill. So yes, Rocky movies all the way. Let's see. Yeah, Pitt puts it good. This is Pitt says this as well as Roger Ebert could. It's worth a watch, 70s. It ain't the best on-field representation, but it is fun, and that's what this movie is. It's a lot of fun. I guarantee it's more fun than actual probably replacement stuff was fun. Yeah, Fred Sacco agrees. Replacements, not a documentary, but just a fun flick, and it is. I don't think sumo wrestler was an offensive lineman. The deaf guy was the tight end. So, yeah, sumo. I don't think he was playing anything but the line. 70 says, okay, he's got a nice little collection there. Hoosiers, Slapshot, North Dallas 40. That's 3 bangers, dude. Good. If you're picking 3, all 3 of those are in my sports movie top 10. And I actually have a 50 list that I made, and I will tell you this: if you ever sit down and start making a list, I think many of you, not 70s, but many of you will realize, like I did, that holy shit, I've got about 34 movies in my top 10, because it gets kind of painful chopping movies out of the top 10. Just saying. Yeah, he says, yeah, Piper hit a good back suplex on David. He did. And no, wait a minute. Now we're going a sumo wrestler at quarterback. I'm telling you what, you gotta wonder in another world if Dylan and Dayton Raiola didn't show a lot of arm as kids, if they would be coming out of high school at 250, 260, and then spending their 2 years at a program somewhere getting beefed up for the line. Hey, worked out for Dad. So anyway, let's get going again on the scenes. Now we're at practice, and I always talk about the montage game. I love movies that have a good montage game. This movie's got a few. It's very montagey. I call this one practice, but they keep jumping back and forth between everything, and the music keeps going. But here's some of what's going on. You got the first Shane, the first Martell and his boys flip Shane's beat up pickup. That's just mean, man. It's like, why even flip a pickup like that? I mean, I know you're a little bitter, but I don't know. I guess you want to pick on a guy that's working for about $8.50 an hour, scraping boats. Oh, that probably pays a lot more than that. That's kind of a specialized job. You're going to charge a little more if you're just going to soak in the shitty bay all day. I can't see the Baltimore Bay being that clean. Oh God! Okay, we got to get away from the sumo now. Then you have psychotic. Well, what was his name? Bateman. Where's my team list? Daniel Bateman, Crazy John Favro, and he's just crushing Keanu because no one's really blocking, and he's explaining to him, you don't hit the red jersey or whatever. And okay, and then hits me again. Oh yeah, I forgot. I tell you what, Favro was looking pretty good. You think of him as kind of the dumpy, chubby guy, and I don't know if it's just a tight haircut, but he looked pretty chiseled, at least, in the face there, and played that psychotic role very well. And then finally, everybody's like, "Hey, let me help you." And he's like, "No, I'm just gonna lay here." Work some shit out. So that was pretty good. Then you have the cheerleader tryouts, and let's talk about those first, because those are funny. First, you have the ridiculous-looking cheerleaders. Then you have the stripper cheerleaders, and then you have that turns into, let's get all strippers as cheerleaders. You have the coach for the other team. At one point, they start doing, well, let's just call it provocative dances, and then his team's staring at him. They're getting run over, and he's trying to get the ref to throw a flag on the cheerleaders for distracting him, and just doing a great job melting down. That guy's the football coordinator for the movie. I didn't write his name down, but he's a semi-recognizable face because he does a lot of the sports coordination stuff, and then they'll put him in the movie, for a line or two as a coach or a ref or something like that. But yeah, so they get well, not hooker, just dancer cheerleaders. And Brooke Langton is the just adorable girl that plays the head cheerleader. And her character, every guy comes out of the theater drooling, just wanting to marry her on the spot, hands down. And I hate to be the one to break it to everybody. The Brooke Langton character does not exist in the real world. Think of it. She's a cheerleader. She owns a bar. She knows football trivia. She knows football inside and out. God, it's just no. This doesn't. And then it's just really sweet and decides to fall for a guy that scrapes the barnacles for a living. And yeah, this is not easily found. This is created for Hollywood, guys, and this is why we all walk out greatest girl ever. And I remember one time in college, I met a really cute girl who was a nut. Who was nuts for sports and trivia and loved baseball. And I think I shot my chances down in under 2 minutes. You think I babble on this frickin' show? I think I said about 10 minutes worth of sports crap in about 48 seconds. And and then I just saw that look turn, and I'm like, and I've done too much damage. So only thing to do now is escape with your dignity intact. And nice meeting you. Talk to you later. And the look was just like, where are my friends? Somebody come get me. It's this guy. I can't let him know where I live. So if you do meet someone like Brooke Langton in The Replacements, there's a good chance you're just going to turn into a complete, freak of nature like I did, and it's just better. Trust me. So anyway, then you had, you've got they're eating lunch. You have one of the lineman brothers making fun of the sumo guy, the Japanese guy, and he's going whoop 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 and doing all that, and they're breaking up a fight between those two. You probably won't see that if they did a remake of The Replacements. This is and he's like Chinese. He's doing the whole Japanese Chinese doesn't make any difference, while the Japanese guy is trying to explain to him those are two separate countries unsuccessfully. But then you have somebody like going up to Nigel, the kicker, and calling him, get out of here, you Mick. And he's like, I'm not a Mick, I'm bloody Welsh. and the guy just grabs him by the shoulders and goes, whatever. So you got that. You got the cop and the con sit down, where John Favro and future actual con Wilkinson are just sitting there giving each other the stare down, while who is it? Franklin tries to break it up, and you just have this going on. And then after, you kind of have the meet cute talk walk home with Keanu and I don't even remember the cheerleaders' character's name. It's just Brooke Langton, too cute. So anyway, then we move on to our first game, and that's where you got the huddle fight. You had the Japanese sumo wrestler try to eat as many eggs, like hard-boiled eggs, as Cool Hand Luke, only before a game. So you've got him puking all over the field. You have the linemen get into a fight, and one of them swings and hits Keanu by mistake, and it's just funny stuff. It's great, hilarious stuff. That might be where you get the line from Jack Warden that, hey, they looks like a bunch of monkeys trying to fuck a football out there. And the thing is that line actually pops up in Miracle, I believe, 3 years later in 2003. Going back to hockey, sorry, but because in real life, that was from one of the 1980 hockey team documentaries. They had their little book of Herbieisms of all of Herb Brooks's goofy sayings, and they have in there, this is in the guys from the 1980 team saying he would tell them, you guys look like you guys look like a bunch of monkeys trying to hump a football. So I don't know. I doubt that Herb was the first one to come up with the monkey jumping a football. But I mean, I had just heard it through the years, and that's the earliest reference I've got to it being attributed to someone. So if you ever find someone who said it earlier than Herb Brooks, let me know, because I think the origin of the monkey fucking a football deserves its due. And so somebody go get a PhD in figuring out where that phrase originated. All right, what else do we got here? Let's see. You've got Falco looking really shaky. They end up losing the game because he switches off to the run. Hey, winners want the ball and all that. And it didn't appear like he was afraid. It just appeared that he couldn't pick up which blitz was coming, and he thought it was maybe just the safer play. And then, of course, it breaks down. He holds out the ball to no one there, flips it to, I can't remember if that was Religious running back or 34 running back, because I think Religious running back was 42. I don't know. But anyway, and for some reason, he tries to take off from the 5-yard line like Spencer Tillman and only makes it to about the 2.5, so they lose the game, and Hackman immediately blames Falco for it. The fifth scene is just what I like to call car flip two. Get a little coffee here. Car flip 2 is my favorite scene because it's the twins, his linemen, and I love these guys because they are coming up and just flipping. They start telling him they flip Falco's truck again. These two walk up, hey Shane, you're our boy, we got this, and they start flipping him shit. And one of them goes like, yeah, you son of a bitch, and the shorter one goes like, son of a bitch. Oh no, now I'm son of a bitch. Son of a bitch, and just goes up and goes like boom, 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 boom. And he's already shot. That's what he's done. Is he's already shot a bunch of holes in the car. They say something to him. They tell him, hey, fix his truck. No, all right. And he empties about 5 shots through the windshield and the hood and the door of Martell's Porsche. And then one of the other guys, one of the other goes, you son of a bitch. And Dad's like, no, I'm son of a bitch. And just goes up. Pow, takes out the driver's side window, and then Martell goes, you're going to pay for that. He goes, no, I'm not. And he's like, and he goes, yeah, he's like, no, I'm not. And then quit doing that to our boy Shane. And then they're like, yeah, come on. And they walk him in. And I'm just dying. I don't know what it was about the way the guy got so offended by being called. I've never seen someone get so offended by being called son of a bitch. He just stops, eyes pop, now I'm son of a bitch. I just love that. Now I'm son of a bitch. Son of a bitch. I'm sorry. That one will get me every single time. Every single time. And then they go right to the assistant coach who's doing the line, something like, oh yeah, he goes, so anyway, if anyone does have any firearms, just go ahead and turn them in now. No questions asked, so we can just move on from this, which I thought was which I think would just be about 20, 30 years ago the perfect NFL team reaction to somebody emptying a gun in the parking lot would be, oh, no cops, okay, well, let's just turn in those firearms, no, everything's cool, just give them up and we'll call it even. So, but don't call that man son of a bitch. So, and then you go to Montage 2, and that's another game or I think they just put a few games together, and they finish up though. I do remember they finish up with the game that they win. It's the one where, first it's the Stick'em game, I think, or maybe the Stick'em games before that, because they may still lose the Stick'em game, but that's one where they put the Stick'em all over Clifford Franklin's or hands, wrists, arms, and he has the line, man, he's like, I look like I jacked off an elephant. Not a lot of deep thought by the writers there, but right away you got that visual, and you find yourself a little queasy looking at Clifford's hands. That's the shout out. Yeah, this wasn't anywhere in the research. I didn't need it. That's the shout out to Oakland Raiders receiver Fred Biletnikoff, who literally would see this slime, the sticky slime, just down beyond his wrists, and what great hands. And they had I think with Clifford they had him holding the football and trying to shake it off. Hey, actually, look like I'm doing the elephant thing too. But let's move on from that. But then you have the go get me the ball or whatever, and Bateman gets the ball, or no, that was in the. Maybe it was the same thing. I just remember he got the ball, goes running, and he's knocking guys around, and he's running time off the clock. And Falco finally has to come over and lay Bateman out and tackle him so they could try a field goal before time runs out. And Bateman's like, "Nice hit, Falco!" He loved it. And then Gruff comes in, boots a 65-yard field goal, which in 2000 would have been the NFL record, because the 63-yarder from had a half-foot Tom Dempsey back in what, 69, 70, somewhere around there. That record held forever, maybe because of the metal plate on the front of that, that cleat, who knows. But now I think since Justin Tucker of the Ravens booted a 66-yarder to set the NFL record, and unfortunately now Justin Tucker, while we're talking about things like elephants and Deshaun Watson Justin Tucker, it sounds like, will be taking a 10-game break from football activities to start the 2025 season for, yeah, we know. So anyway, so that's kind of it. And then I just kind of skipped along after that. There wasn't much going on except, scenes where, hey, the Cowboys are bringing their team back, so Eddie Martell is going to cross. And I think it does say something about Martell's teammates when the quarterback of your team crosses and nobody else on the team does, dick. So I just didn't understand why buddies were running around tipping trucks over doing his bidding, because I don't think anybody likes this guy. Anyhow, so then Hackman yells at the owner for making him play Martell. Yelling at Jack Warden for making him play Martell. Then has to give Keanu the news. Well, here's the deal. So at halftime, anyway, they get crushed in the first half of this Dallas game, and at halftime, like, there's Falco just hanging out watching TV on his boat. Why wouldn't he stick around and be the backup quarterback? I mean, why would you kick him off the team and leave whoever? Because he couldn't have been the only quarterback they had, or maybe they did. Maybe they had some shortened 30-man roster, and he was literally the only quarterback. But keep him around. What? Come on, Jack Warden. It's like, or was Jack Warden just that afraid that if he let him stay on the roster, then Hackman would just fuck him off and play him anyway? I don't think that's it. I just think that's kind of, they just needed he has to race back to the stadium scene, and so we're just going to pretend they're going to dump him. It didn't make sense to me. You know what else didn't make sense to me? How in the hell is Dallas only up 17-0? I mean, literally, it looks like somebody's going into the ambulance every play they show. It just feels like they can't stop them at all. And 17-0, it can feel like a beatdown, but if this is a full-on NFL roster against Eddie Martell and the replacements, but as we said, as they said up in the comments above, don't watch this for the football accuracy and replication. Watch it for the fun, and it's fun. So anyway, Shane comes back because miles and miles of heart, baby. You need miles and miles of heart. And the first thing they do, it's really funny. It's reminiscent, almost. This one didn't turn into quite the full on-field brawl, but a necessary roughness. First ever show in all the right movies. But you had that one where the middle linebacker, was it the ninja guy, went and just did a flying kick on one of the players, and then just starts beating the hell out of half the Texas, the North Texas or the Texas U team or whatever they were. And so anyway, so then you get a big brawl here, only you've got just everybody going one-on-one. Franklin, it happens fast. There's two things that happen fast that are my favorite parts. One of them is a guy has a guy down, is holding him and jumping up in the air, like hands holding him down and hopping up and driving those like tie kicking knees into his side, and just, like, kneeing him in the head and the side. And then you see Clifford Franklin come, like, kick somebody down and then just run away as fast as he can, flipping him off as he tears off away. And those are really fast. It doesn't really concentrate on those too much. But they come back. You have the scene where Gruff he's got the bookies coming after him, and he's got to tank that game, or they're going to take his restaurant away from him. I'm not sure how that works out in the gambling world, but you know what? You roll with it. So then he gets hurt just to make sure he can't bring him back in and change his mind and have him give up his bar for the team. They have him, like, break his arm. He does like a Charlie Brown. It's almost, they do. It's almost, she pulls the ball away because Keanu pulls the ball away, and he just goes flying through the air. And I'm not sure why, if the ball's not there, you're gonna go, like, kick as hard as you can, carry yourself about 6 feet off the ground. In this case, it's like Charlie Brown flying up in the air, but dropping down and breaking his arm. It was one of the weirdest things. But hey, this is becoming the saying for this movie. But hey, it's the replacements. We roll with it. So then you have the final play where we're going to go to the deaf tight end. I'm only calling him that because I didn't look up his name. It's an easy way to separate him. We're not saying it's a bad thing, just in case anybody's getting irritated. they did have the line. The assistant coach made some crack about it, going, well, at least this guy's not going to jump off sides on an audible. Like, coach, come on, man. But I guess what I think in the movie he played for Boston College and was really good. So this is a guy who, if he could hear, probably would have been in the NFL. Anyway, they go deep to him. He's best receiver on, solid college player, best receiver on the team. So naturally, you got another movie where instead of 5-6 defensive backs all standing in the end zone and on the goal line, you've got this guy being covered one-on-one. He beats him by 3 steps. Shane Falco throws him a dime. Might have been like about his first dime of the movie too. Drops it in there. They play somebody covering Heroes by David Bowie, and the celebration is on, and the replacements is over. So let's go to the comments. I'm trying not to go quite as much. Figured that out on my own. Let's see. Yeah, Fred Sago. Yeah, Favro was in decent shape back in the day. See, this still feels like they made this around the time he was on Friends. And on Friends, I remember he did that whole stretch, which was really funny because he was like a billionaire, and God, you'd love for more of him to try this. But trained because he hired like a real trainer and wanted to fight MMA and just got knocked senseless in about 3 seconds when he finally had the fight. What's Fred saying here? But yeah, Favreau was in the show. Andy providing us quite a peek behind the curtain tonight. Hopefully that doesn't mean anything too awful. Yeah, who knew Jack Warden was also describing Husker football for the last 20 years? Come on, let's be fair. It's about for the last 12 years. We were still winning 9 or 10 before that, and we were still mad. Fred, I'm not saying this one. We've talked about the elephant enough, but I am laughing. Let's see. Ted Hilker says, I'm here but don't have much to say. GBR. Ted Hilker, thank you very much. I want more people to come in and say hi. Just don't have to say anything. Just say "Go Big Red." I want to say hi to folks. I want to put names or at least nicknames behind on some of you. So yeah, thank you, Ted. And Fred says hi as well. And yeah, Fred, Justin Tucker enjoys a good rub down. I hear. What the? I just don't. I'm not gonna do a diatribe on why we've got now 2 NFL guys that just want to do that with masseuses. It's like, I'm fairly certain there's massage parlors that will do that for you willingly if you say the right code word. I don't know that they've gotten rid of them completely. My instinct is they haven't. But yeah, don't gross out people who are just there to give you massage, guys. I don't feel like that's too much to ask in this day and age. So yeah, anyway, that's the scenes. Hit me, anybody hit me in the comments with what your favorite scene is. You can just put what your favorite scene was. If you want to throw down why, that's fine too. But the ones I've got are the intro, like the intro to the movie, like the opening credits, introducing the team, the montage practice, the first game, car flip to son of a bitch, and the final game. Now mine, I've made it apparent, but don't feel like you got to agree with me at all, and most of you don't. Car flip too. I don't know what it is about son of a bitch. I won't rehash it, but that's scene 5, and that's my favorite. Let's see. Yeah, Fred doesn't get it either. Yeah, I don't get it either. You can call your shot as an NFL player. Why do dumb shit? Oh God. Yeah. I have. Where's it? I have. I Will Survive checked here somewhere. Because I wanted to say something about. Oh, here we go. Da, da, da. Where's my I Will Survive notes? Where? Oh, let me step out of the picture here just for a sec. Threw those notes over there. Okay, here we go. I actually had something. I Will Survive. I wrote down as inexplicable. I Will Survive. I was watching that where they're doing the I Will Survive dance, and yeah, it's hokey and it was fun. But I'm like, wait a minute. So you're in jail, and it's almost like they did a flash mob training session before they got in the bar brawl that got them thrown in the pokey, and then they do it there, and then they do it again in the end zone at the end of the game, at the end of the movie. So if you like I Will Survive, you get it twice. Let's see. And then Fred, I like the kicker when he said he was wiry. Yeah, and they were making. Gene Hackman was use it all the time because it's funny and because I'm fat. It's funny. Gene Hackman like stays on the assistant coach. No, he's wiry. He's like he's wiry. No, wiry. And say it wiry. I don't care. So that was pretty good. I agree. When I darted in some of the lines, I'm sure I was going to pick up on wiry. If you got any good lines you like from the movie, throw that in there. And because I'll check the comments for the lines first before I go in and just start plucking them off the IMDb list. Let's see. Here's one thing. Like we had so much fun last week with all the different casting choices for all the different casting options. People that were supposedly offered or tried out or could or wanted to, but were tied up with another movie last week for Happy Gilmore. Casting, nothing. Literally nothing. Nothing in the trivia. So I actually tried a few Google searches and finally got to where somebody said that there's just no information on there. If they had others, they never told anybody. Nothing ever got out. Maybe they just had their cast and were ready to roll. But yeah, there's literally nothing. And I was like, God, there had to have been so many. There's so, they throw so many fun little parts in this movie. So disappointing. Darn disappointing. Let's see. And then one thing I will say, Nigel Gruff, the kicker, if he looks familiar, and if you're a Game of Thrones fan, I'm going to mess up the pronunciation of his name. It looks like, I'm going to say Rhys or Rice Ifans. It's Rhys-Ifans. But Rhys Ifans, he plays Sir Otto Hightower in House of the Dragon. And when I was watching House of the Dragon, I'm sitting there watching Otto really closely and it took me probably about 3 or 4 scenes, and then the light went off, and I'm like, by God, that's Nigel Gruff. And Nigel Gruff is playing the Game of Thrones. You rock, Nigel. So let's see what we have here. We got Fred for monkey fucking a football. That's just an old term. I thought so. My dad and his friends used to say it. My 8th grade wrestling coach used to say it. It's timeless. Yeah. And I like I said, I never thought Herb Brooks made it up. I just thought he was the earliest I've ever heard somebody attributing some, because it's always a coach, right? Or I guess in this movie it was an owner, but you know what I'm saying. So anyhows, but tell you what, let's take a look at some of the lines. See what we got. Okay. Here's one, because this one has a lot. Like I use wiry all the time too. It's like because I, mostly spent most of my life pretty skinny, and I've kind of gotten back there again. But yeah, the whole wiry, good stuff. So Shane Falco, this is one I use a lot. Pain heals, chicks dig scars, glory lasts forever. That kind of takes me back to The Simpsons, when Bart wanted to go see this Evel Knievel type jumper, and he was going to jump over a tank with like a shark, a lion, a shark and a lion in there or something, and he goes in and he's in the hospital, everything's broken, stitches everywhere, and Marge, says, hey, maybe you could talk to my son, try to talk him out of this thing because he wants to be a stunt man. And he's like, so what's it like being a stunt man? He goes, well, let me tell you something, kid. It's the greatest thing in the world. He goes, wounds heal and chicks dig scars. And so I often wondered, because I think that came before the replacements, if they took that a little bit. Oh, geez. So let's see what we got here. Yeah, they're going through the whole thing where they flip the car. Oh, and here's Hackman, man. It's like he can't help but deliver, just lines hitting home. And it just seems out of place when he's doing it here in this goofy movie. But there's the one where Shane Falco asked him, hey, Shalco, asked him, why me? And he said, I look at you and I see 2 men, the man you are and the man you ought to be. Someday those 2 will meet. Should make for a hell of a football player. Now that's good stuff. I like that. Let's see. Now, Mand and Summerall were pretty funny up in the booth because they looked like they were just banging it out. I got the feeling kind of like in a different way, but much like Bob Uecker or Major League, I got the feeling they were just kind of improvising and rolling with it. And here's one where Bang is another fight in Summerall. That's the second time tonight a Washington player's been knocked out by his own teammate. And Madden, there's a rule in sports. Don't do anything great if you can't handle the congratulations. And Summerall goes, there is? And he's like, yep. And I think that was after Bateman had knocked out Nigel after he'd made a kick. So let's see. Yeah. And there's Gene Hackman again after Falco handed it off. Winners always want the ball when the game is on the line. There you go. That was kind of your tagline for the movie tonight. Playing. Oh God. So here. Okay. So I like to give points for unintentional comedy. Is one thing I like to rank when it's applicable. It wasn't really last week. This week we got Keanu. We love Keanu to death. We so love Keanu, but boy, are there just unintentionally funny Keanu moments when he doesn't realize it's unintentional comedy. And one of those was his quicksand speech. When they're saying, hey, talk about something that scares you. You're playing and you think everything is going fine. Then one thing goes wrong, and then another, and another. You try to fight back, but the harder you fight, the deeper you sink. Until you can't move, you can't breathe, because you're in over your head like quicksand. And someone laughed out loud in the theater because I think it was I don't know if it was Franklin or one of the other guys goes, that's deep, Shane. And then somebody in the theater was like, ah! When I saw the movie, I'm like, if that's not unintentional comedy, getting a laugh when everybody on the screen is trying to be dead serious, that's just quality work right there. And then Shane again, before they run that last play, gentlemen, it's been an honor to share the field of battle with you. Okay, let's see. I want the ball, winners always do. Wow, that's what Eva was talking about. It's like winners always want the ball, and they just do the hammer circle back. I want the ball. And there's Nigel Gruff. It's why had he. Another one. Falco, it's nasty out there. That's why girls don't play the game, coach. But they do now, don't they, Shane Falco? God, I've seen some of those clips of the women playing ball in that arena thing, and there's just some that don't really belong on the field with tough girls. I've seen a couple of them wondering if they woke up within a week after getting hit by. There was one gal out there had to be 5'10", 205, and some Barbie went up and tried to tackle her, and she just lowered the shoulder, and this girl went through the air and was limp while she was still in the air and just hit the ground limp. Ugh. Let's see. Give me the ball. Picking on our man from Japan again, Nigel Gruff. That'll do, pig. That'll do. Screw you, cockroach. You'll have to find your Vic first, Shamu. There you go. Oh, I didn't know that somebody already used it. That was already a Jimmy McGinney line. Hey, you lost that. Talking to Shane. Hey, what'd you lose that Sugar Bowl by? 40 points? That would be 45. Sometimes a game like that really sticks with you. You never shake it off. Got 3 concussions to prove it. And he sounds like it. Yeah. And then Jimmy McGinney. That's why girls don't play the game. Oh, God. Yeah, the whole got you the ball. They got too many of the serious lines and not enough of the funny lines here. Oh, there we go. This one was I've seen monkey shit fights at the zoo that are more organized than this. And if you've ever been to the zoo and get to see the first monkey shit fling, it's startling. It was after we moved here, and I think our 8th or 9th grade class went to the Henry Dorley Zoo, and I didn't get hit. But all of a sudden, yeah, this monkey's winding up and chucked a couple of turds at people. I just thought that was a thing. I didn't know they did it. Okay. Duck on the pond. How am I going to coach a deaf man? Yeah, bloody Welsh. Okay, I'm just going to do a couple of spins. What do we stop on? Nope, that's no good. Oh, yeah, there he goes. I think I'm just going to lie here for a moment and collect my thoughts after Favro nailed Falco. Work shit out, right? I like that work shit out line for some reason. I don't even know what the hell. Oh, that's one of the cheerleader cheers. California oranges, Texas cactus. We think your team needs a little practice. Put him in a high chair, feed him with a spoon, roll him up in toilet paper, kick him to the moon. I hope that was the one who was out there trying to cheerlead in the cowboy boots. Let's say that. I read Blitz. I read Blitz. Oh, they put the I read Blitz one down twice. Thing is, I think we already probably said enough of the good lines, and if we're doing this right, why shouldn't we? So, I think people have been a little busy in the comments, so let's take a look there. I think we stopped it at Justin Tucker last time. Yeah, Fred is right. Hackman is always great, even on a silly flick like this. Yeah, he was. That's the thing, is he's fantastic. But it's just so funny how dead serious, like, Hackman inspiration just doesn't seem always at home. Although he did do a good reaction of just like the goofiness going on around him too. So he played that well. Hackman should have said, "If we die, we die to fire the team. If we die, we die to fire the team up at halftime." I don't think there were any actual NFL players in there, because I don't think you're going to want actual NFL players. Hey, I got a role for you. You're going to play a line crossing scab. Oh, I forgot. Wife and I are in Mazatlan, or some Cozumel that weekend. Yeah. That cheer, Fred appreciated that cheer was bad. Yeah, if you remember, those cheerleader tryouts were so bad that they ended up just hiring all strippers there. So yeah, you're not wrong. Okay, let's see. Tell you what, let's do the trivia, and then we'll do the awards. We will do our movie awards and rank them each on the coach scale. So what we got, or actually, let's see. So for trivia, let's see what I did. There wasn't a whole lot of trivia on this, or at least not that was really very interesting. But so yeah, we did I think I snuck a lot of it in already. Did Archie Harris, Tony Robinson, Gruff's field goal, Stick and Bolitnikoff. Oh, okay. There's one person I wanted to bring up. One of the montages. I was really happy to hear it when what I saw it in the theater, is because I've been an Amanda Marshall fan probably somewhere early '90s, maybe early mid '90s. Got a CD of hers for the first time because heard a song, and she didn't really typically get a lot of radio, or doesn't get a lot of radio play, but had a really good song called Birmingham. Well, she does this song Ride, and it's one of those where Keanu's getting wiped out, but he and Brooke Langton are making cheesy faces at each other. So it's like the montage kind of rocking song, and she's still kicking it out today. She had a really good song come out recently called Dark Horse, and then two really hilarious songs. One was called I Hope She Sleeps with a Basketball Player. and it's basically a girl, this guy has dumped a girl for another woman, and she is singing to him that he hopes this new woman dumps him for an NFL lineman or an NBA player throughout the song. And it's just, but sings it like it, really pissed off, and it, it's a damn good song. And then she all did one called I'm Not Drunk, I Am Just Amazing, which is sung like a girl, be it who's just constantly out really drunk with her friends and talking drunk girl shit. I can tell that here's a type of person that annoys Amanda Marshall very much, because it's just a little too spot on and biting once you're done laughing at it. But yeah, if you ever get a chance, have Spotify, check out Amanda Marshall. So let's see what else have we got. Bear with me for a moment. I'm just checking to make sure that I've gotten in everything I wanted to get in before we move towards the finish line here. I did. Oh, I have one more thing for you. Last year, I noticed I was kind of getting the habit of, even in football, the football pod or the softball pod is throwing out a show or movie that I've seen that I think you'd enjoy. Meant to do it last week, forgot. But if you get a chance, I cannot recommend, and if you haven't seen it already, And if you have seen it already, say nothing about the plot in the comments. Only time you'll really ever hear me, no, do not do this in the comments. No. Do not talk about this in the comments. It's The Life of Chuck. It is a Stephen King story. It's one of those that's kind of not even a novella, which Shawshank Redemption was. It's about halfway in between. I just got the book full of the stories. This one, it's either a really short novella or a really long short story. It's about 70 pages, and it's just an amazing movie. And that doesn't make it boring. Because sometimes I almost didn't see it because I'm seeing the clips from the reviews. This is magical, a beautiful story, and all this. And I'm hearing those, and I'm nodding off. But then I'm like, but wait a minute, this is a Stephen King story, and you can feel Stephen King in there, believe me. But it is, yeah, it's fantastic. It came out about June 25th, 25th, something like that. So it's only been out for a couple weeks. Still in the theaters. I imagine it'll be streaming in 3 or 4 weeks. And what I would say is read nothing about it, because half of the fun for me was having no idea what it was about. I saw the clips. The clips told me nothing. Here's Tom Hiddleston dancing around. Here's a beautiful shot of a night sky. And it just fantastic cast. There's no one real star, and that'll become apparent why when you see the movie. But Hiddleston might be one of the most well-known guys. But in addition, I always get his name wrong. It's like Chiwetel Ejiofor, something like that. He's been in, you've seen him in tons of stuff. I guarantee it. Mia Sara, Ferris Bueller fans will remember her as Ferris's girlfriend. She was Jean-Claude Van Damme's wife in Time Cop. Just gorgeous, sweet-looking gal. Has not acted since 2000, I believe it was 14 or 15. And the director, Mike Flanagan, talked her into looking at the script. And when she did, she jumped into this movie, just thought it looked great. And then Mark Hamill is also in it. And I am not kidding. I would not have said this after watching Star Wars for the first or the 25th time in 1977. Don't be surprised to see Mark Hamill up for an Academy Award. Mark Hamill is fantastic in this. Matthew Lillard shows up in it. Who else? There's just... it's unbelievable. It's not over long. It's under 2 hours, so it's not overly long. And honestly, I thought we were about an hour and 20 or 30 minutes in when it ended, and it was about an hour 50. So it was moving along. It is not an action film, but I just could not really look away. And here's the best comment I got. I don't know how many of you know what do they call it? It's the When to Pee app. Which sometimes you really need. Run Pee. The app is called Run Pee, and it tells you the best times during the movie, if you have to take a whiz, to run off and do it, and then just get where not a lot happens while you'll be gone ostensibly, and then you can make it back, and it'll just give you a quick synopsis of what happened while you're gone. This one says there's no good time to go on Run Pee. There's no good time. They said, here's 2. I didn't go. I was kind of getting tempted by the time the second one rolled around, but I hung in there, no problem. But Run Pee says there's no good time to go pee. I don't know if there's a better recommendation to see a film that Run Pee says we can't in good conscience send you out of the theater at all on this one. So, but go, if you won't want to believe me, believe Run Pee. Trust in Run Pee. So anyway, Fred says he hasn't heard of it, so he can't spoil it. Damn it. But The Life of Chuck, see it. There, you can watch a trailer. They don't really. I saw a trailer or two, and they didn't really give anything away there. The director is Mike Flanagan. So if there's any Stephen King fans out there, Stephen King had a sequel to the book, to The Shining, called Dr. Sleep, and they made a movie. And for those of you not aware, I won't go into all the details, but Stephen King and Stanley Kubrick hated each other's guts to the point they had to go to court and both of them be told to stop ripping each other publicly. This is how much those two hated each other. So he did a sequel to his book, but the ending of the movie, of Kubrick's movie, was very, very different from the ending of the book. So Mike Flanagan has to go in, and he's written and directed all the movies. And so I think he goes in, and he does a script that bring the book and movie elements of The Shining together for just a wonderful sequel, and it has a couple of the most horrifying scenes I've ever seen. The movie Dr. Sleep, but it also just makes you makes your heart break, makes you cry. He has a horror movie that he did before those, I guess, that was that way. They said he's kind of redoing horror movies because he's actually making people really care and get invested in the characters in the horror movies, which kind of takes it to another level. And Dr. Sleep very much does this. And The Life of Chuck, man, if you can't kind of throw your heart into this movie, you might question its existence. That's the last I'll say. But yeah, highly recommend Dr. Sleep. Let's get to the awards. Let's start off with comedy. Let's see. Let's go to. Let me get my pictures ready to pop here. Hey, look! I actually brought some. If those of you who haven't seen it, there's Brooke Langton, the one I've just been. What I say is just every goofy guy's ideal woman, but that's her. She is just adorable. There's the tight end making the catch at the end of the game, and for all you I'll Survive fans, there you go. Little and I'll Survive dance. So there's that. But let's go to it. The first category we're going to do. Well, first we're going to eliminate a category. There's going to be no Oscar reboot. If I feel this is like Friday Night Lights is a prime example. If I feel this movie got discriminated against and didn't get nominated for Oscars, or at least nowhere near as many as it deserved, then I'm going to go look up the Oscar winners and say who, what. I'm going to kind of keep it to the director, the best picture, and the acting, not get into all those other awards. But I will go try and reboot it and go, should this guy have been nominated? Should this guy have won? That type of thing. I already gave you the Ebert quote. Let's do it again. Gene Hackman and Keanu Reeves star, and this is not a distinguished entry in their filmographies. So we're not going to put them up for Oscars here, as hard as Hackman was trying at times. Let's start off comedy. Okay, I'm going to give comedy a Devaney. That's a 4-star out of 5. I think it's solid. It's comedy that cares. And even with the football being goofy, that's how you realize how funny it was. It's like, I don't care. These are some funny guys having some fun on screen. Good for them. Let's see. Next up is unintentional comedy. Brother, this is a Tom Osborne. But between him playing underwater one-man football with a solid gold football with his name engraved on it that just happens to be sitting at the bottom of the bay, to I Will Survive, to the quicksand. This is why we have an unintentional comedy category. If unintentional comedy was an Oscar, replacements, you're getting that Oscar. All right, we're on a roll now. Let's try one more time. And what am I having? It's a drink of delicious Propel. Propel, people, I'm still here. I'm still waiting. Miley's not here to make fun of me tonight. So good. All right, so next, let's go with sports quality. We're going down. We're going down to 2 on this one. Frankie, my boy. Yeah, this is a 2-star. It's not the best football you're ever going to see in a movie. The reason here's the reason I'm giving it a 2nd star is that damn Ravens tryout that was offered to Keanu. So I can't make it a 1-star. There's some reason in there too, because like another one I'd put close to 1 star is Remember the Titans, which I know a lot of people love that movie, but the football photography in that movie is just abysmal, and this is not quite that bad. If we ever do Titans, I'm letting you know now, that's getting a 1 for quality of football. Just from Wood Harris's run. Yeah, Wood Harris, the All-American defensive end who looks like he never got quite taught how to run, to just the odd angles. And thank God they had quality sideline speeches from Will Patton and Denzel. Okay, what's next? We have music. I'm going to give music a Polini. I'm giving that a solid 3. Ride. I talked about Amanda Marshall. I love the song Ride. They throw some others in there. It's pretty good music in the final game too. It's not great, but it's a long way from bad. So you're getting a bow. Bows are 3. Sorry, if you don't remember or you're new, Devaney's 5, Osborne's a 4, Pelini's a 3, Solich is a 2, and Riley's the 1. If I was going to squeeze Frost in there and go from 0 to 5, then Riley'd be the 0 and Frost would be the 1. And no, we're not going to argue about all that tonight. We do that occasionally anyway, but let's not go there just yet because we're making pretty good time here. Next quality we're up to are adrenaline, the adrenaline scenes. Oh man, I think just because they did a pretty good job with that final game. With as far as the music, it gets you pumping a little. There's actually a game to win. We'll go Frankie again on that and give it a 2, but not much adrenaline anywhere else in the movie. Because let's face it, up until about that last game, it really. I didn't know I was about to be this mean, but you really do see that it represents scab football really very well. Because they're just what's going on in the field is just awful for most of those games. So if you're going to try and represent, I think actual scab football would have been better than what you saw out there. So anyway, I'll give you a 2 because it did actually get a little exciting in the last game, and I do like when they play heroes at the end too. That's a good version of heroes. Let's see, and now what do we move to? Montages. Oh, that's going to be a Devaney because I think about half this movie's in some sort of a montage or another. The last game's a montage. The first game, the first practice, through practice, lunch, cheerleader tryouts it feels like that's a 20-minute montage. I'm sure it's not that long, but that's Devaney. That's still national championship work there on montages. So good job there. Rewatchability. Somebody pointed out that just about everything you put on there is rewatchable, and I'm like, yeah, I have done that. There's some that aren't that rewatchable. That what? I'm going to throw one out there at the risk of was it 70s who said he'd watch the Rockies. Rocky is not super rewatchable. Rocky, but here, let me finish before I get lambasted for insulting Rocky, because Rocky is definitely it's a top 3 all-time sports movie. It is the king of the sports movies. It got going it was right there. You can't give sequel credit just to Star Wars because Rocky and Star Wars were doing it like every summer together. And it just created this character that here we are, 50, 70, about 49 years later, and we're still doing sequels we've done 3 Rocky sequels of the son of the guy he fought in the first 2 Rockies. And they're good. And so I think Rocky is like the granddad. It's the granddaddy of sports movies. That doesn't mean it's the first, but I think it was, what does every sports movie strive to be? And then what do you have to do to get out of the shadows? Hey, this isn't a Rocky finish, or it is a Rocky finish. He loses. But Rocky ain't rewatchable. It's not one you just sit down and see it, pop it on, because it is a slow moving movie, especially now. In the 70s, I thought this is all the adrenaline, and then everything started ramping up, including the Rockies. Look what happens between Rocky 1 and just Rocky 3. Rocky 3 is just one music video after another. But when I say it's slow, I do say this. It's one I probably only watch again every few years, but I fall in love with it all over again because even though it's moving slowly, it really works these characters in. The dialogue's great. It's funny. It's really just unbelievably funny at times. We're the one where he's like walking, I think Adrian, and the guy just jumps out of the alley, and Rocky being Rocky, he ain't scared of the dark in Philadelphia, and he just goes, "Oh, look, it's the bum from the dark. Get a job, you bum." But I don't know, something about the bum from the dark killed me. You got his brother Frank and their boys just singing in perfect harmony around a trash can. I don't think that's happened to any of us in our life where we walk by in a bad part of town and just people are just beautifully singing around a trash can. But it's not what I'd call rewatchable. Saying it's not rewatchable doesn't mean you want to rewatch it at all. By rewatchable, I mean you might see a chunk of some movies twice a year or more, just because it comes on and you can drop in. You can drop in almost anywhere. Oh, haven't seen this in 7 or 8 months, or 2 or 3 years, whatever, and you're in because it just grabs you. There's something to grab you right away. So this one, yeah, I'm going again with on rewatchable. This one's a 4. You could probably make an argument for a 5. I don't know if it's quite there. They do throw in a few slow scenes, but not too many. And face it, you can turn around and rewatch this anytime you want. So very good score on rewatchable, and that's the final one. No Oscar reboot. Sorry, Gene Hackman, you deserve better. Let's before we see how long we're going here, let's take a look at the comments. And yep, Fred. Okay, yeah, I threw Brooke up there. Swing for the Brooke chick. Yeah, she's adorable. She's adorable. She's smart. She's funny. Loves sports. Owns a bar. You're never gonna find her. Give it up. Let's see here. Yeah, here you go. Good way of putting it. It's good comedy. The football is standard football movie fare. Overblown hits and WWF moves on the field. Yes, especially in that last brawl after halftime against the Dallas team. But let's see, what do you got? Anytime you use Bowie's Heroes, it's a decent soundtrack. I don't think that one was Bowie though. And then my favorite non-Bowie version is Peter Gabriel has a version of it that I believe he sung in front of an orchestra in Germany, and it is a slow version, and it is powerful as hell. You can find it. You can find it on Spotify. You can find it on YouTube. It's wonderful. Peter Gabriel Heroes. Look for that. I highly recommend it. Let's see. Here, looks like Tiger Shark goes, need to rewatch Rocky. Haven't seen it in years, right? Thank you. I mean, I'm kind of going like, and look, he's proving my point, but you need to see it again. And then when you see it now, and I remember it's like it came out when I was in like 8th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade. And I was just like, this is freaking amazing. And I mean, you had people standing up in the theater and like pumping their fists when Rocky knocks Apollo down in the first. It always said I'll get into this in the Rocky thing. Some people are like, yeah, it's a Great White Hope movie, unabashedly. But I tell you what else it does is Carl Weathers as Apollo Creed. They're going, well, he's doing the Ali thing. Yes, he is. But guess what else he's doing? He's not wearing wild suits. They all are for the 70s, but he is a well-dressed, well-groomed guy, and he is in the middle of his TV market negotiations. They're negotiating like the pay-per-views, and he's in the middle of that, and he's controlling it. So this might, I'm just trying to put this the right way. Yes, this is one where, oh my God, a schlubby white guy with much heart beats the more talented and skilled black fighter, all the buzzwords. But you've got your first black dude who is in charge of his own career, who, probably didn't go to college, but sure sounds like it. Definitely well self-taught, and is out there. He is in charge of his career. He is in charge of every aspect of his promotions. Yeah, that Miles Juergens guy, he comes in as the promoter, and you're thinking, well, that's as promoter as I've seen a guy look. It just looks like this oily jerk. And you look, he's sitting on the sidelines while Apollo's telling everybody else what to do. It kind of bites him in the ass because here's Rocky breaking ribs on sides of beef in the locker, and that's the one where Tony Burton as Creed's manager is going, champ, think you ought to come take a look at this guy you're fighting. He looks pretty serious. Yeah, I'm serious too. So anyway, we should try for Canadian markets. And yeah, he's running the show. But yeah, I hear Rocky, and those are the little things that'll bounce back to me when I watch Rocky. There's a lot of detail in there. A lot of detail went into Rocky that we didn't really notice the first time around. And yeah, watch it again, enjoy. I've been slowly rewatching the Rocky movies, up to 4 now. Okay, you gotta buy it, and I know I said it before. Watch Rocky 4, Rocky versus Drago, the recut movie. It's still barely over an hour and a half long. He subtracted for everything he added for because Rocky 4 was just the cocaine experience with the robot and the electro music and all that. They got rid of that, got a lot of the original music back in, got a lot of scenes, and I'm like, you cut these scenes for the robot. Adrian isn't a jerk anymore. You can't win. God, I hated that Adrian. And her picture wasn't on the mirror in Russia, so Rocky was getting tired of it. This takes you a little deeper with Adrian. Takes you deeper with Apollo. Apollo has a much bigger part, and you understand way more what's going on with Apollo. I won't go into it anymore, but yeah, I think you can get it for it might be $5.99 because all it did was one night in the theaters and then straight to Amazon for purchase. But yeah, it's just a different movie than the original Rocky IV. Rocky IV is a ton of fun. Rocky IV, Rocky versus Drago, a lot of fun. Makes Drago look scarier. Drago's appears a little more nimble than his shots in the remake. And brother, he ought to be because he was a world kickboxing champion. So yeah, I'm glad this got some appreciation. Come on now. Whoa, the bum from the dark. I just love the bum from the dark. Yeah, there you go. Thanks. Apollo wasn't being jerked around by a Don King. Creed ran his own show. Perfect way to put it, man. No Don King, and I'd rather, I guess some idiots could be thinking, well, hey, Don King, powerful black man. He was at the expense of just, young black men who could have the wool pulled over their eyes and took their money. What he did to Mike Tyson, Mike Tyson, not one of the nicest guys in history, but what Don King did to him was unforgivable. So yeah, not being jerked around by a Don King, beautiful. And I think, let's see, is that everything? Are we about done? I know I went off on a few tangents, but why not? Bump from the Dark was a fine tangent, wasn't it? All right, let's see. I'd actually like to check, make sure I didn't leave anything out. You know what I did? This was something I kind of skipped over, but that's one of those that choked me up a little, is when they go back to the bar after Shane's been told that, he not only will he not be starting, he's apparently kicked off the team, but he's, they're finding out that Martell's going to be playing quarterback, and they get pissed, and he does his little speech, and then they give him one back to our quarterback, our leader, but most importantly, our friend, to Falco and to Shane, and they all toast him, and gets a little dusty in the room, but I did like that. I'm glad I caught that before we got out of here. Let me try one last thing. I think we got it. I think we have done it. I think we have finished the replacements. As always, glad to do it with some of my best friends off the stage. Tell you what, they always tell me trying to remember to do a little of this. So merch at cobbycorn.com, support us. And if you haven't seen the Cobby merch, I think I've got 2 t-shirts, long sleeve t-shirt, the really ugly Cobby jacket. If you haven't seen that, maybe I'll try to throw that on. Let everybody get a good look and a chuckle at that. And then I've got a Cobby beanie for those cold games. I'm not just trying to sell you merch. I don't get a cut of it, but I'm just telling you I do wear it, and it's fun stuff. And Miley yells at me that I should get her some for Christmas, and I think I failed twice. Also join Corn Nation's YouTube channel. It's not like it costs anything. You go, the bottom of your YouTube page has a subscriptions. Pop that there, type enter Corn Nation, and then anything that comes up for Corn Nation, even what you're watching now, I suspect, you can just punch that Corn Nation button and boom, you're subscribed. Congratulations. See, remember we got Monday Night Therapy at 8 p.m. on Mondays, and there's also the 5 Heart on Thursdays, but they haven't created a banner yet, so I can't swing a banner across for that. Sorry, guys. Oh, and I was absolutely going to tell you, give you your homework assignment. Unfortunately, the replacements, hopefully enough people had seen it where you didn't have to go do a rewatch, but some like to do the rewatch between. Unfortunately, that I couldn't even find my friggin' DVD, so I had to buy it. It's not even on Tubi. I had to get it off Amazon. I'll make back the $3.79. But next week, the movie is. Hold on. Oh, there's my wife, Chuck reminder. U.S. Women. Next week. Okay, there's the name, Andy Long Gone Ketterson. Next week, baseball classic from the mid-'80s. It doesn't matter about the 80s because it takes place back in the 50s. Do not let that scare you away. It is not a 50s movie. It is a 80s movie about a 50s team, and it is body hilarious. It stars William Peterson, Dermot Mulrooney, who else? Teller of Penn and Teller with Henry Gibson. If you don't remember Henry Gibson, he was the leader of the Nazis and the Blues Brothers. Those two are the team owners. It is called Long Gone. Long Gone. It's nowhere. And what's funny is there's these movies out there that were owned by somebody who just died and never left the rights to anybody, I guess. And these movies are just out there dead in the water. So they can't really stream them, or I guess it was sold. I've got a DVD of it that I burnt. I had a VHS of it. That was for sale, burn it onto a DVD. So I have a DVD of it. You can watch it for free. The quality is not going to be great, but it is called Long Gone. It is on YouTube. It is just on YouTube for free. Just go Long Gone or Long Gone movie. You'll see the length of it's like an hour, 51 minutes, and the full movie is free on YouTube. I meant to take a picture, but when I was rushing, I don't think I did. No, I did not. I didn't load it up. But Long Gone, and maybe I'll do a reminder and throw up, here's what it looks like when you're going to YouTube. But yeah, just watch it on the phone or the laptop or whatever. You will be laughing your ass off in the first 5 minutes or so. It gets you right away. William Peterson, he is hilarious. He is aged. He's drunk. You can tell that life's broken his heart a little. But he is their player. He is the player coach of the Tampico Stogies, and an independent minor league team, and it's got to be like the late 50s, somewhere in the deep damn South, which that'll play into it as well. And it's just it's one of my two favorite baseball movies of all time. That and Major League are my top two. I know in some of your heads you're throwing a bunch more at me. I get it. That's fine. They're not the only ones I love. They just edged out into the top spots. But yeah, Long Gone, YouTube. Watch this one. And then get ready to have some fun next week. This movie is just a blast. But like we rank adrenaline seeds, right? There is a big damn game at the end, and you're going to be laughing. Oh, Virginia Madsen. You've got a young Virginia Madsen in it, and she is just setting the screen on fire. And just to give you an idea, her character's name is Dixie Lee Box with 2 X's. In one of the early scenes, she comes down into a bar. She's not that old. I think she's only supposed to be like 19, 20, 21 years old in this movie, if that. And she walks and sits at the bar, and it's like 9:30 in the morning or something. And the waitress comes over, and she's like, "Give me a bottle of Jack's beer." And the waitress goes, "How old are you, honey?" And she goes, "I'm old enough to be drinking Jack's at 9 in the morning." And she's like, "All right, here you go." So yes, Long Gone. I hope I'm letting you know how excited I am about this. I don't know how many watchers we're going to get, because I know that these days it's kind of tough to tack away 2 hours, but YouTube free, Long Gone. There's no excuse. I'm not hanging you out to try making you buy it from Amazon or anything. Let's take one before we call it an evening. Let's take one last look at the comments. Yeah, Fred Sacco, Long Gone, never heard of it. Check it out. It was like made for HBO back in the day. It was a straight to HBO, but many of the movies that were made for HBO back then, HBO didn't own them. So this is one you won't find on HBO Max, because they never owned the movie apparently. If that changes, I'll get that info out of you, but I don't think it's suddenly going to go to Max. We'll tell you what. I know they went a few years ago and started trying to buy everything they could that had been made for them. Yeah, so bear with me for about 15 or 20 seconds here, and I'll just do the search just in case, because you never, ever know. But sometimes just, the people who owned them were dead, and there was just nobody to buy this stuff from. No, it's not on Max, so YouTube, Long Gone. Let's see. Fred, naturally. Speaking of got to pee app, I got to run the dogs outside and also release some beers. If I didn't make it back before you go, have a good night, everyone. Fred, good night to you. We're getting out of here. Good night to everyone. Thank you very much. Thanks for putting up with me. I apologize if I appeared not as ready as usual here, but hope I tried to fight through there like the Rock, and hopefully we made it through. And we will see you next week for Long Gone. Watch it if you can. It's a ball. It's a blast, and I want to enjoy it with all of you guys. So, good night, everybody. Go Big Red. Love you guys. Have a good evening. Have a good rest of your week and weekend.